Back to our channel. Now we are going to start chapter 9, that is the forearm and hand. So first we'll start with introduction of forearm and hand, and next today in this video we are going to cover all the 17 surface landmarks of the forearm with very much ease. So let's start with the forearm introduction. So if you see, this part is mainly called as forearm. So today our main target is on this part of our upper limb. Okay, so forearm is mainly extending between the elbow and the wrist. So it's between the two joints. This is the elbow joint, right, and this is the wrist joint. So between these two joints the location is called as forearm. Okay, and mainly it consists of two bones, that is the radius and ulnar bone, which form its skeleton. So the radius bone is mainly present on the lateral side, that is towards the thumb side. So this will be the radial bone, and this side will be a ulnar bone. Okay, so the skeleton of forearm is made by this the radial and ulnar bones. So these two bones articulate at their ends to form the superior and inferior radioulnar joints. So actually here at this side they form the superior radioulnar joint, at this side they form the inferior radioulnar joint. So if you see, at the rate of the elbow and also at the rate of the wrist, they are forming the elbow joints. They are forming the superior radioulnar joint and also inferior radioulnar joint. And if you see the bones between the radial and ulnar bone, you have the interosseous membrane, and that interosseous membrane is putting these two bones in an optimal distance. And the muscles which are accompanied by nerves and also blood vessels are present both on front side and back side of the forearm. Actually, if you see, this is a back side or the posterior side of the forearm, because it's like this. This is the posterior side, this is the palmar side or the anterior side of the forearm according to the anatomical position. Okay, so this is a posterior side of the forearm. Okay, so what they are saying, the nerves and blood vessels are present both on front and back side of the forearm. Okay, and the hand is nothing but the most distal part of the upper limb. So hand is the most distal part, most distal. Okay, hand is the most distal part of the upper limb, and it is meant for carrying out diverse activities. Numerous muscles, tendons, bursa, blood vessels, nerves are artistically placed and protected in this region. So what they are saying, many muscles are present, many tendons are present, many bursa are present, many blood vessels, many nerves, all are protected in this region. So now we'll start a main discussion on front of forearm. So the front of forearm presents the following. So what are the components of the front of forearm? You have total 8 muscles. So total we have 8 muscles to discuss. Okay, total 8 muscles, and 5 superficial and 3 deep. In that 8 subdivision, 5 are superficial and 3 are deep. We'll discuss them in another video. Today our main discussion is on the surface landmarks. Okay, next you also have the 3 nerves, that is the median, ulnar and radian nerve. Median nerve, ulnar nerve, radian. So these structures can be understood by reviewing the long bones of upper limb and having an articulated hand by side. So if you put your hand and study, then it would be more better. Okay, so let us start with the surface landmarks of front and sides of the arm. So the epicondyles of the humerus, the epicondyles will be this side. Okay, so the epicondyles of humerus have been examined. Note that the medial epicondyle, so medial is towards this side because ulnar bone, and the lateral is this side because of radial bone. Okay, so medial side, you see the medial epicondyle, this structure as I marked here, this is the medial epicondyle, and it is more prominent than the lateral epicondyle. Okay, you can also palpate now in your hand, and you can feel that the medial epicondyle is more prominent than the lateral epicondyle. The posterior surface of medial epicondyle is crossed by ulnar nerve. As this is a posterior epicondyle, you can imagine this is a ulnar nerve. Okay, so on the posterior side of medial epicondyle, The ulnar nerve is crossing and can be rolled under palpating finger. Even you can palpate this ulnar nerve on the medial epicondyle. Okay. So pressure on the nerve produces the tingling sensations on medial side of hand. Now you try to put the pressure on the ulnar nerve. You will see the tingling sensations on the medial side of your arm. Especially your forearm nerve. Okay. So ulnar nerve present on posterior side on the medial epicondyle, and you can also palpate it. So by this we completed the first point. Now coming to the second point, the tendon of biceps brachii is felt in front of elbow. Tendon of biceps brachii, according to the cubital fossa, mnemonic MBBR. Okay, according to the mnemonic, if you remember, the biceps brachii tendon is felt in the front of elbow at the cubital fossa. It can be made more prominent by flexing the elbow joint against resistance. Like for example, this is a flexion. So if you flex your hand, you can easily feel the tendon of biceps brachii more prominent. Okay, and the pulsations of the brachial artery can be felt just medial to the tendon. Actually, this mnemonic is from medial side to radial side, right? So what they are saying, medial to the brachial, medial to the biceps brachii tendon, you can just feel the brachial artery. Okay, this is from medial to radial side. I mean medial to lateral side. Radial is nothing but lateral side, right? MBBR. So biceps brachii, medial to it, you will feel the brachial artery. Okay. Next, coming to the head of radius. Where is the head of radius? Will be here, right? The head of radius can be palpated in a depression on the posterior lateral aspect of extended elbow. So if you extend the elbow like this on the posterior side, you can easily feel the head of the radius. So you can feel the head of the radius on extended elbow on the posterior lateral aspect. That too distal to the lateral epicondyle. Its rotation can be felt during pronation and supination of forearm. So like this. This is supination, this is pronation. You can feel the radius bone during pronation and supination of especially the forearm. Next, coming to the styloid processes. You can see these are the styloid processes. The styloid process of radius mainly projects 1 centimeter lower than the styloid process of ulna. If you see, the styloid process of radius is lower 1 centimeter when compared with styloid process of ulna, and this can be felt in the upper part of anatomical snuff box. In the anatomical snuff box upper part, you can mainly see this styloid process which is laterally present, and you can feel it in the upper part of anatomical snuff box. This is a styloid process of radius. Okay, and its tip is concealed by tendons of mainly abductor pollicis longus and extensor pollicis brevis, which must be relaxed during palpation. So especially why we have these both muscles, because they are nothing but in relation to this anatomical snuff box. What are those? Extensor pollicis brevis and abductor pollicis longus. Okay, so if you follow this diagram, now we will come to the other surface landmark, that is the head of ulna. So where is ulna? This is thumb side, so it's radius, this is ulna. So actually the head of ulna is present in the lower side. Actually the head of radius is present to the upper side, but the head for the ulna is usually on the lower side. And the head of ulna forms a surface elevation on the medial part of posterior surface of wrist when hand is pronated. So I will show that point. So this point, as I darken it, that point is where you can feel the head of ulna on the posterior side of your hand. So exactly over here you can feel the head of ulna. Next, coming to the styloid process of ulna projects downwards from posterior medial aspect. You can see this is also posterior aspect. Okay, posterior medial aspect of the lower end of ulna. Its tip also felt on posterior medial aspect of wrist, where it is about 1 centimeter above the tip of styloid process of radius. Yeah, that's what we have discussed. The head of ulna is 1 centimeter above the tip of styloid process of radius. Next, coming to the pisiform bone. If you see here, it's mentioned over here. The pisiform bone is just lower to the ulnar styloid process. So it is also present medially on the posterior surface. Okay. So it can be felt at the base of hypothenar eminence. So what is hypothenar eminence? I will show you that in my hand. So if you see over this pointed landmark, this is called as hypothenar eminence and this is called as thenar eminence. So just below the hypothenar eminence, you can feel the pisiform bone on the palmar aspect. Okay. And also here only where the pisiform bone is present, the flexor carpi ulnaris tendon also terminates here on the pisiform bone. Okay. Even the flexor carpi ulnaris terminates here and it becomes visible and easily palpable, especially at the medial end of distal transverse crease. So what is distal transverse crease? Everything again I will show on my hand. Okay. So remember, at the distal transverse crease, mainly you can palpate this pisiform bone when the wrist is fully extended. So if you see the first line over here, that is the distal transverse crease, and the second line which you see here, this second line, the second line is the proximal transverse crease. Okay, the upper one is the distal transverse crease. If you extend your arm, you can see that lines. Okay, and now we will understand about the hook of Hammett. Okay, the hook of Hammett, you can see here Hammett bone, this is pisiform. Okay, so the hook of Hammett lie on finger breadth below the pisiform bone. So hook of Hammett is below the pisiform. You can see this is the pisiform bone, right? So below it you have the hook of Hammett. So pisiform bone, below it you have the hook of Hammett and it lies on the finger breadth in line with ulnar border of ring finger. So if you take your ring finger, just below that ring finger you will find this hook of Hammett and it can be felt only on deep palpation through hypothenar muscles, because exactly you can see here, exactly at the rate of your ring finger you can see the hypothenar, okay, muscles. Okay, so sorry, this is the ring finger. So here you see the hypothenar eminence, that is nothing but where you find the hook of Hammett. So the hook of Hammett is below the pisiform bone. Okay, next coming to the tubercle of scaphoid. So here you can see the tubercle of scaphoid which lies beneath the lateral part of distal crease. Here will be the distal crease, right? Here will be the distal crease, here will be the proximal crease, right? So what they are saying, just lateral part of distal crease in an extended wrist, you can feel the base of thenar eminence in a depression lateral to tendon of flexor carpi radialis. You will feel the tubercle of scaphoid. Okay, next coming to the tubercle of trapezium. So where is the tubercle of trapezium? In this diagram, let us find out this. You can see here the scaphoid and trapezium. So the tubercle of trapezium is here, may be felt on deep palpation on the inferior lateral to the tubercle of scaphoid. So the inferior lateral to the tubercle of scaphoid, you will find this trapezium. Okay, next coming to brachioradialis. The brachioradialis will become more prominent along lateral border of forearm when the elbow is flexed against resistant in mid-prone position. So you can see this is supination, this is pronation. So this position, mid-prone position, this lateral border, right? This lateral border, you can mainly feel the brachioradialis muscle. Okay, so how to show this here? This lateral border. Okay, sorry, this is lateral border, right? So this lateral border, you can feel the brachioradialis muscle that can be palpated. So if you look at these muscles like flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, and flexor carpi ulnaris. So these are all actually arranged from lateral side to medial side. How to remember that they are from lateral to medial side? Just simple, flexor carpi radialis, as the word radialis, it's on lateral side, and palmaris longus, and next comes the flexor carpi ulnaris, because ulnaris is on the medial side. So like this you can remember the order of these three muscles. Okay, and the pulsations of the radial artery can be felt in front of lower end of radius. Okay, just lateral to the tendon of flexor carpi radialis. So if you see the flexor carpi radialis, okay, so just lateral to it means this side. Okay, just lateral to it you can see the pulsations of mainly our radial artery. Okay, in the lower end of radius. Next, the pulsations of ulnar artery. So remember here pulsations of radial artery, I'm writing RA. Okay. Next, the pulsations of ulnar artery can be felt by careful palpation lateral to tendon of flexor carpi ulnaris. So flexor carpi ulnaris lateral to it. Here you can feel the pulsation of ulnar artery. Okay, lateral to tendon of flexor carpi ulnaris. Ulnar nerve lies medial to artery. So medial to it here lies a ulnar nerve also. Okay. Next, coming to the transverse cruaces in front of wrist are important landmarks. The proximal transverse cruaces, as I shown here, the proximal one is the first line. Okay, I'll mark it out. This one is the proximal one. This one is the distal crease. Okay, so the proximal crease. They are saying about the proximal crease. The proximal crease is in front of the wrist is at the level of wrist joint, and the distal crease is at the level of proximal border of flexor retinaculum. So this is flexor retinaculum, this is wrist joint. Okay, so by that you can find it out. Next, coming to the median nerve. Median nerve is superficial in position at and above the wrist. Okay, it lies along lateral edge of tendon of palmaris longus. So this is the palmaris longus lateral to it, meets here lateral to it. Over here you will find the the median nerve. Okay, in the middle of the wrist. Next, coming to the anatomical snuff box. You know this one, this location. Okay, this one is anatomical snuff box. It's a depression which you can see here. It's a depression which appears on the lateral side of the wrist when the thumb is extended, the bounded anterior by abductor pollicis longus and extensor pollicis brevis, posteriorly by extensor pollicis longus. Pulsations of radial artery can be felt in the floor of depression against the scaphoid and trapezium. The beginning of cephalic vein can be seen in its roof, and the styloid process of radius can be felt in the upper part of depression as already mentioned. So about anatomical snuff box we already seen. Once again it's just like a revision. So by this we have completed the surface landmarks of forearm. Next we'll start with the superficial muscles of the forearm, and also we'll cover the deep muscles. Okay.